time to do my August raised bed update. This is my top raised bed, and what you're looking at now are my turnips. You'll be able to see that these turnips have been attacked by caterpillar, all the holes in the leaves. Because I want to be true to my organic roots, all I do is take the caterpillars off when I see them and relocate them. So I don't spray these, and that's probably why there's so much leaf damage. But when I see a caterpillar, I take it off and relocate it. Okay, we'll just move down the bed now. This part of the bed is now empty. It used to have dwarf broad beans in it, but they're finished now, so I've lifted those, so this part of the bed has nothing in it at the moment. These are my beetroot. Earlier this month I lifted a couple of these beetroot. These are the beetroot in my top raised bed. If you remember, these beetroot were brought out as germinated seeds. They weren't plants, they were a seed that had simply been germinated indoors and transplanted into the bed. These are the first beetroot I've taken out of this row this year. Let's see what we've got. A few nice ones. Yeah, some bigger than others. I think we'll take this one. Not bad. And we'll leave that one and we'll take this one. And by taking and leaving, the ones you leave behind get a chance to grow on to become bigger. That's it. Two nice beetroot. It's enough for today, that's all we want. And these are my parsnips, and as you can see, these parsnips are quite tall. They're standing about 3 foot tall now, and I've put these bamboo supports in to hold the leaves up to stop them falling over onto the beetroot. I don't know if you can see the base of these parsnips, but they're looking quite thick. They're looking quite thick under there, so I'm hoping that there's some big parsnips on the bottom of these. Okay, we just go down the bed past the parsnips. Here we've got some leeks, and I've also got supports in holding the leeks up, because what we don't want is one vegetable falling over on top of another. I like to try and give them as much the fair share of light as I can. We've got some small lettuce in here, and then we've got some more parsnips, and again they're standing over 3 foot tall, and they're looking quite healthy. This is my middle bed, and what you're looking at now are some dwarf runner beans. This bed originally was my onion bed, but earlier this month I lifted those onions. This is my onion bed. The ones you're looking at now are sturion. As you can see, there's a couple of rows of lettuces in this bed now. That's because I've lifted 2 rows of sturion. I'm now going to lift the rest of these sturion onions and take them in, dress them up, start the drying out process. I've got 1 or 2 red skins left, only 1 or 2. And they're an onion called Cairn, and they also have a nice row of Stuttgart giant onions growing. So I'll make a start, lift these onions, and then we can tidy this piece of bed up and decide whether we want to put anything else in here this year, or whether we'll just make do with what we've got. Right, we're around the other side now, just about finished. Nearly got them all lifted. Put them in the barrow now, take them up the garden, tidy them up. These are the onions tidied up a little now. They've been washed, a few of the dead skins taken off them. These are Sturon or Sturian, I'm not too sure how to pronounce that. I've still got Stuttgarter Giants in the bed, and I've still got one or two red skins. You know, there was a massacre, and the red skins are Carmen. I'll just give you an idea of size. It's about how big they are. So these are eating onions, these are to go in the kitchen. These aren't show onions, so they don't need to be any bigger than that, do they? Why would you want them any bigger than that? So I'm quite happy with that. Now the next job for these is to dry them out and then plait them. Now apparently it's as simple as plaiting a little girl's hair. Well, I've never done that. I'm probably attempted to do it over the years, but never ever managed it, but I know someone who has. So we'll get these onions, once they've dried out a bit more, we'll get them plaited up. This is this year's crop of onions from the raised bed. The ones on the right are an onion called Sturon. I had a few more than what you see there, but we've actually been eating those onions as we required them. So that's the harvest. The onion in the middle, the red onion, is an onion called Carmen. Now there are equal number of Carmen and Sturon in the bed together, but unfortunately the red skins didn't flourish at all. There was a bit of a massacre, and I had to take quite a few of those onions out. They either went to seed, or went soft, or just didn't flourish. So Carmen was a bit of a disappointment, but I'm okay with Sturon. And on the left, some Stuttgarter Giants, and that was a single row of Stuttgarter Giants. I'm very pleased with them, and those Stuttgarter Giants have all flourished, and they look a really nice onion. I've only just brought those in today. A few of the others, the Sturon and the Carmen, have been in about a week, and you can see the tops are going over now. But the Stuttgarter Giants, I've only just lifted those today, and I thought, while I've got them all, before we dry them out, I'll just show you what I've got. I don't normally dry my onions out on the garden furniture, but I just thought that this made a good shot. When I stop videoing, I'll take these off here, and these will be put back on the bed or on the patio somewhere, so that the sun and the wind can dry them off properly before they're taken indoors. This is a courgette that I'm trying to train over onto the path. I'm not too sure if you'll be able to see those courgettes in there, but there are a couple of courgettes ready to come off. Okay, and behind these dwarf runner beans are some dwarf broad beans. And then we have part of the bed with nothing in it, and you may be able to tell, but there's some fresh compost on there, and that's the compost that's come out of the bags that I've been growing potatoes in. I've spread it on this bed. These things here don't really belong in this raised bed. I'm growing these leeks in pots. There are 10 leeks in 2 of these pots, and I think 5 in the other. I'm growing these on the patio, but I've moved them on here because I've got space now, and it'll allow me to clean the patio better. Okay, and if we just go past these, This is the end of that raised bed, and as you can see, I've been spreading fresh compost on there. Well, I'm calling it fresh compost. It's the compost out of the bags that the potatoes have been growing in. And if you can see those white pebbles, I've laid them out in a nice grid pattern. They weren't like that, but I've laid them out in a nice grid pattern. They represent every red onion that went to seed, bolted, went soft, fell over, dropped dead. That's the markers from the red onion massacre, the red skin massacre. I think there's 35 white pebbles on there. I put one pebble on each time I took an onion out and binned it, and there's about 34 pebbles on there, and I only actually planted between 40 and 50 onions, red skins. So as you can see, most of my red skins bit the dust. This is my bottom bed now, and these are a couple of courgettes at this end of the bed that I'm trying to train over to grow onto the path. As you can see, there are various bamboos and bits of paraphernalia trying to persuade them to fall over onto the path and grow on the path rather than in the bed. This bed used to have some dwarf runner beans in it, but they're long gone, and now we've got some lettuce in there. This is a short row of turnip, and as you can see, they're a bit moth-eaten as well. The caterpillars are on those. Some spring onions that no one seemed to be interested in, so they're just growing away. Some more lettuce, a nice row of beetroot there. I've had a couple of nice beetroot out of that already, and I don't know if you'll be able to get this one, but you can see the sort of thing I'm talking about. You can see the wooden dividers that I use to try and keep the crops separate. These are the carrots that are growing on, and right in back another couple of rows, short rows of leeks. Right, thanks for watching my August raised bed update. If you're interested in those leeks that I showed you earlier in the video, in the pots and what that's all about, there is a video on my channel that'll show you what I'm attempting there.